Good morning, America, for our viewers in the West. Reaction rippling across the country after the 8th school shooting of the new school year. The mass shooting inside a Georgia high school. 2 students and 2 teachers killed, 9 others wounded when police say a 14-year-old opened fire. Police on the scene in minutes, taking the suspect into custody. What we're learning about the victims, the anonymous tips the FBI received about online threats, and the possible missed warning signs.
Countdown to the debate. The rules for Trump and Harris's first showdown. Overnight, Trump brush off debate prep. Harris on the trail laying out her economic plan. And Liz Cheney speaks out, saying she will vote for Harris.
Sounding the alarm. The Justice Department warning Russia is stepping up efforts to interfere with the election, part of an operation to spread disinformation.
Hurricane ready. With storms expected to get stronger and more destructive, Matt Gutman with our must-see demo this morning.
130 miles per hour. You can already feel the power of that wind and the rain pelting your face.
From the roof to the garage to your windows, the changes you can make for better protection.
Newly released footage showing Sonia Massey 16 hours before she was fatally shot, seen interacting with police.
Plus, it's the important test for women that you might dread. Now the potential new way to screen for cervical cancer at the doctor's office.
GMA exclusive. TikTok takes on online safety. The tools to help parents protect their teens and set some digital boundaries.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
This is Good Morning America, and we will have much more on the exciting U.S. Open just ahead.
Looking forward to that. But also this morning, Ginger is tracking the record heat in the West from Los Angeles all the way to Seattle. 65 million are on alert in more than 6 states.
We begin with another tragedy, the mass shooting at a high school in Georgia. This is the 8th school shooting of the new school year in the United States. 4 people were killed, 2 students and 2 teachers. 9 more people were wounded, 8 of them students.
We are learning more about the victims of this tragedy and the suspected gunman, a student at the school, just 14 years old. He will be charged with murder as an adult. Aaron Katersky is standing by with the very latest on the investigation. But first, Faith Abubey starts us off on the scene there at the high school in Georgia. Good morning, Faith.
Yeah, good morning to you, Robin. Flags here on campus were flying at half-staff this morning. This community just now beginning to start to process the horrific events that happened inside the school building yesterday. Overnight, officials reassuring them that there was only one shooter and that teenage suspect remains in custody this morning. This morning, an urgent investigation underway after police say a 14-year-old went on a shooting rampage inside a Georgia high school, killing 2 fellow students, 2 teachers, and injuring 9 others.
I never imagined that I would be speaking to the media in my career over something that happened today, the pure evil that happened today.
Officials identifying the suspect as Colt Gray, a student at the school.
He will be charged with murder and he will be tried as an adult.
This student, Lila, told CNN the shooter was in her math class. She says he abruptly left the class and then tried to get back inside.
They lock automatically, so you have to be let in to come back into our classroom. So I think he wanted to come to us first to shoot us class. He turns to the classroom to what would have been my right. And he just starts to shoot, and you hear like about 10 to 15 rounds back to back. He never really talked. He was pretty quiet. He wasn't there most times. Either he just didn't come to school or he just would skip class. But even when he would have talked, it was one-word answers or just short statements.
Police say calls of an active shooter started coming in around 10:20 Wednesday morning.
What's happening to the high school? I don't know.
Within minutes, they were on campus helping the school resource officers already at the scene. Officers finding the suspect with an AR-15 style rifle. They say he surrendered without incident.
The shooter quickly realized that if he did not give up, that it would end with an OIS, or an officer-involved shooting. He gave up, got on the ground.
In this video from our affiliate WSB, police seen investigating the alleged shooter's house for evidence. Authorities identifying the victims as 14-year-old students Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angulo, teachers Richard Aspinwall and Christina Eremy. Senior Fabian Williford was in class when he heard the first round of gunshots.
The guns sound like balloon popping, but like 10 times louder.
Sophomore Alexandra Romero filming this video from inside her classroom. Officers leading her class to safety.
Let's move with purpose, come on.
I saw like my math teacher, and he was all covered. I saw blood everywhere.
10th grade world history teacher Stephen Cramble protecting roughly 28 students when his class was notified they were on a hard lockdown.
There was a second of like, in my head, I just felt death like cross my mind. Where there was a moment where I'm like, I might die today.
11th grader Henry Vanderwalt frantically texting his mother, "I think there's a school shooting. We heard gunshots and the police shouting. We're all in hard lockdown." Moments later texting, "I love you." Gwendolyn Cook rushing to the football field where the students were safely gathering, looking for her grandkids, alongside hundreds of other frantic parents.
Everybody came to get their children.
Overnight, an emotional vigil.
We are praying for you and for our community.
A heartbroken community gathering together amid tragedy. And Michael, a bit of good news here. Officials saying that all 9 victims who were injured in this shooting are expected to survive and also recover well. In the meantime, though, school is closed for the rest of the week as investigators try to get at a motive. Michael.
And our thoughts and prayers with those families, their faith. Thank you so much for that. And let's bring in senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky with the latest on the 14-year-old suspected gunman. Good morning, Aaron.
And good morning to you, Michael. Still hard to believe, 14 years old. And this appears to be yet another school shooting where the warning signs were clear. In May of last year, the FBI received anonymous tips about online threats to shoot up a school. The FBI traced those threatening posts on a gaming site to a then 13-year-old, but found no reason to arrest him. That same teen is now accused of killing 2 classmates and 2 teachers at his high school. At the time of the threats, the local sheriff questioned the teen and his father, who said that while he kept hunting guns in the house, his son did not have unsupervised access to them. But on Wednesday, police said the teen came to Appalachia High School in Georgia with an AR-style rifle and opened fire. Police are investigating still how he got the gun and how he managed to bring it inside. Right now, it does not appear, we're told, that he specifically targeted the victims. Investigators are now confident he acted alone, but they're still looking to talk to anybody who knew him. They've been searching his home and interviewing his parents, trying to determine a motive for what is the first deadly K-12 school shooting in Georgia in 25 years. All teachers at the school are equipped with a device that can alert the sheriff's department in an emergency. Those devices have only been in place for about a week, George, and thankfully in this case they were.
Yeah, okay, Aaron, thanks very much. We're going to get the latest now in the race for the White House. Donald Trump took to Fox News last night in an event in Pennsylvania. Vice President Harris secured a major Republican vote as they gear up for their first debate. Rachel Scott is tracking the race. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, George, good morning to you. And for the next 5 days, Vice President Kamala Harris will be hunkered down in Pennsylvania, preparing for her very first presidential debate against Donald Trump. This morning, the former president dismissing any traditional debate prep, but he is giving a preview of his strategy heading in. This morning, with just 5 days to go until the presidential debate, Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris preparing for their first face-to-face encounter. During a Fox News interview in battleground Pennsylvania overnight, Trump brushing off preparing for the debate, questioning Harris's intelligence.
This is a woman who is dangerous. I don't think too smart, but let's see.
The former president at one point swatting away mosquitoes, saying his strategy is similar to the one he took with President Biden, saying, quote, "I let him talk. I'm going to let her talk."
And he wasn't going to win, I don't think. I don't think he was going to win, but we did a good debate. We had a good debate, and it was a fair debate. And he was down like 18 or 19 points after the debate. And I hate mosquitoes.
Trump insisting he plans to feel it out as the debate goes along. Harris taking a much different approach, traveling to Pennsylvania later today, hunkering down in the Pittsburgh area to focus on debate prep. The rules are now set for the 90-minute debate. No opening statements, only closing remarks. And the candidates' microphones will be muted when it's not their turn to speak. Trump will get the final word after winning the coin toss. Ahead of the big night, Harris laying out her economic agenda, including a new goal, helping launch 25 million small businesses in 4 years.
I believe America's small businesses are an essential foundation to our entire economy.
The vice president promising to expand tax deductions for startup costs by 10 times and to reduce red tape and certain regulations. all she says in a contrast to Trump's vision.
He intends to cut off federal programs that give loans to small businesses. He plans to give billionaires massive tax cuts and to cut corporate taxes by over $1 trillion, even as they pull in record profits.
And with some states preparing to kick off early voting in just over 10 days, former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who served as the vice chair of the January 6th committee, says she's voting for Harris, sending this message to voters in battleground states.
As a conservative, as someone who believes in and cares about the Constitution, I have thought deeply about this. And because of the danger that Donald Trump poses, not only am I not voting for Donald Trump, but I will be voting for Kamala Harris.
With Harris off the campaign trail, Trump still has a few scheduled events before that big debate. And today, after months of delays, a federal judge will weigh how to move forward in Trump's election interference case surrounding his effort to try to overturn the results of the 2020 election. This is the first scheduled hearing since the Supreme Court granted the former president broad immunity for his official acts as president. Trump will not be there in person and continues to deny any wrongdoing, George.
Okay, Rachel, thanks. Debate is Tuesday night. You can see it right here on ABC. And right now we're going to move to more election news. The Justice Department has accused Russia of interfering in the presidential election, slapping Moscow with new sanctions and new indictments. Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has the story. Good morning, Pierre.
George, good morning. Today, Russian officials are calling the U.S. action a witch hunt that will not go unanswered. But top DOJ and FBI officials are adamant. They claim that Russia is at it again, trying to interfere in this year's election, and they're being more aggressive.
This morning, Attorney General Merrick Garland sounding the alarm, warning that Russia is intensifying their efforts to interfere in this year's presidential election.
It's an acceleration of, and it's an increased sophistication.
According to a newly unsealed indictment, the Department of Justice alleging that senior aides to Vladimir Putin, including his so-called right-hand man, are engaging in a sweeping online operation aimed at supplying millions of Americans with disinformation.
These websites were designed to appear to American readers as if they were major U.S. news sites like the Washington Post or Fox News. But in fact, they were fake sites.
The government seizing 32 bogus website domains purchased by Russian security services that mirror legitimate news sites, creating fake stories and using authentic-looking logos as part of a campaign called Doppelganger. And DOJ also bringing charges against 2 employees of RT, also known as Russia Today. The FBI saying it uncovered a $10 million scheme by RT, allegedly funneling laundered money through foreign shell companies to a Tennessee media firm. That company posting nearly 2,000 videos that garnered more than 16 million views on YouTube alone.
RT has used people living and working inside the U.S. to facilitate contracts with American media figures to create and disseminate Russian propaganda here.
The federal indictment does not name the Tennessee-based company, but sources familiar with the investigation tell ABC News the company is Tenet Media, whose website features videos from some of the biggest right-wing influencers and podcasters, some of whom support Trump, among them Tim Pool.
Mr. President, is an honor and a privilege.
Last night, Tenet Media officials declined to comment. The indictment makes no allegations that the podcasters knew that the company was being funded by Russia. Mr. Poole issued a statement denying any knowledge of Russian involvement with Tenet Media. He said if the allegations are true, he is a victim who has been deceived. Michael?
All right, Pierre, thank you so much for that. We're going to turn now to the extreme weather. Flooding rain in parts of the south and triple-digit temperatures in the west. Ginger's tracking it all for us. Good morning, Ginger.
Michael, so many parts of Texas, central and western, had been in desperate drought, but now it's coming too fast. I mean, this area around San Angelo, 10 to 15 inches in just a couple of days. You see that high water rescue? The man in the tree there had gotten out of his truck, and then those highly trained professionals were able to safely get him across that line. Thankfully for them. But also, you have an area there that's been really floody, but then look at Tampa. They've had their top rainfall rate per hour on Tuesday. It was 3.8 inches in an hour. They've never done that. Then they had more than 2 yesterday, so they had a half foot. And it's all along the stationary front. Today, it's Slidell, New Orleans, Morgan City, all in the significant flash flood risk. And Robin, we're also watching the fires out west. This was lightning strikes and several fires that combined, but also the heat is going to bake things up. We have heat alerts from Phoenix up to Seattle. And I just want to mention to you, Portland, Oregon could see their hottest latest if they get to 102. Robin.
We know that you're keeping an eye on it all for us, Ginger. Thank you. Now to the U.S. Open. Jessica Pegula extending the American domination at the tournament, taking down the top women's seed and joining Emma Navarro in the semifinals. You know Lara is here now with all the highlights.
How excited were you? We love Jessica Pegula. What a night, guys, for American tennis. For the first time since 2003, we have multiple American male and female players in the semifinals of a Grand Slam. 2 men and now 2 women. The latest entrant into the exclusive club, Jessica Pegula, breaking a streak that haunted her. She was 0 for 6 in Grand Slam semis until last night, and she did it in style, beating the #1 player in the world. Pegula took the first set against Iga Swiatek with ease. The second set proved a little more challenging. The crowd held its collective breath, but Pegula, she prevailed, beating Swiatek 6-2, 6-4. She's got to be feeling good as she does a 24-hour turnaround to face Karolina Muchova in the late match tonight. In the early match tonight, it's American Emma Navarro playing #2 ranked Arina Sabalenka. I know her. Why did I stumble? Because I'm so excited for it. It will be a battle for both, but we could see an All-American women's final. That will unfortunately not be the case on the men's side, where our American players will face off for one of the spots in the finals, the All-American men's semifinal set for Friday when #12, Taylor Fritz, takes on U.S. Open darling Frances Tiafoe. It will be the first time since Andy Roddick in 2006 that an American man will appear in a final. We haven't had a U.S. Open winner since 2003. That was Roddick. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, shall we? The other semi has 2 of the best, Jack Draper and Jannik Sinner, who beat Medvedev last night. The U.S. Open semifinals start tonight with the women. It all starts on ESPN at 7 p.m. Eastern. And coming up in our next half hour, we have a surprise for one very deserving tennis coach. You do not want to miss this, guys.
I cannot, and I don't want to miss the women's semis. I'm heading out to the Open tonight.
Oh, good.
Yes,
I'll see you there.
Oh, good. All right.
All right.
I'm getting out the house.
Hey, good. I'll hitch a ride with you.